Jerusalem is modern, ancient, it's hectic, patient. Jerusalem is a beauty to behold. Its walls are old and domes are gold. Jerusalem is spicy, dynamic, it's iconic, panoramic. Jerusalem is inspiring, unique, it's simple and chic. Jerusalem is brimming with styles, vibrant, charismatic, abundant smiles. Cobblestone streets, colored with sweets. Eclectic orchestra of authentic beats. It's the shoot, the basta, the shawarma. It's all about good karma. It's people, gates and views, culture, art and muse. Jerusalem is tradition, innovation. It's about openness, recreation. It's a city, destination, a goal. Jerusalem is how it feels to be whole. It's the knowledge, the courage, the drive to create. It's the source, the spirit, the reflection of faith. Jerusalem is Israel. It's Mediterranean chill. Jerusalem is real.
Hi everyone, my name is Naama Shpeter and I am the director of the graduate division at the Rothberg International School. I'm joining you from the Hebrew University's historic Mountain Scopus campus in Jerusalem. I'm also happy to see all of you with us at the virtual open day for our MA program in nonprofit management and leadership. We are part of the Hebrew University, the leading university of Israel and one of the top 100 universities around the world with 8 Nobel Prize recipients. If you can just write to us which country you're from, it will be, or show us all your faces, it will be much more, it will be easier and nicer for us. And I would like now to ask Professor Ron Shor, the academic head of the program, to speak. Afterward, we will hear from two alumni, and finally our admission coordinator will outline registration process. Professor Shor, please.
Okay, thank you, Naama, and I'm pleased to see all of you in this open day. I will just open our slideshow and we'll continue. Okay, now, so in just a second.
Okay.
It's okay, okay. I first like to speak a little bit about the program. And the MA in Nonprofit Management and Leadership is actually a program which provides practical tools to work in the field. So as opposed to programs, academic programs, which often aim simply to provide knowledge, this is a very practice-oriented, field-oriented program. It is an MA program which its aim is to train and to provide knowledge to people who are interested to work in the nonprofit fields and increase their knowledge about nonprofit organizations. Its aim is to provide knowledge about management, leadership, and social change in the nonprofit world, and to allow students to gain expertise that will contribute to their future career. And mainly we aim to train professionals in managing programs and coordinating programs in the nonprofit world. Now, actually, I do have some problems changing it now. Maybe I will stop and you will get into it because I don't see it now.
It's okay, you can go down.
Okay.
It's okay, you can see fine.
Okay, that's okay, okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, in terms of the structure of the program, our program consists of 38 credits. And in fact, this is a program which students can complete, if they wish, within 1 year. 2 semesters, the autumn and the spring semester, and we also have a summer semester. Students need to complete totally 38 credits. And six credits out of the 38 are in fact elective courses. We do have a variety of courses which we offer in the program, and those courses aim to provide the knowledge needed to work and lead programs and manage programs in the nonprofit world. And I would like to give you several examples. For example, marketing, how to market nonprofit organizations. How to market the organizations and their programs. Nonprofit organizations is a growing field, and in Israel and around the world, they provide services to a significant number of people. But one of the characteristics of nonprofit organizations is the need to fundraise money for the organizations. And therefore, fundraising is another subject which we teach in the program. Leadership, how to lead program, and to be leaders in nonprofit organizations. Finance is also a significant factor in nonprofit organizations. So how to manage the finance in the organizations, how to plan the finance. Each nonprofit organization has its own boards, so managing boards, directing boards, and creating even boards in organizations is also one of the subjects of our program. And another example is volunteer management, how to recruit and manage volunteers in nonprofit organizations. I would like also to note that our program is an international program, not only in terms of the students, but also in terms of the staff teaching in the programs. We have staff which the staff members are originally from South Africa, from the United States, as well as from Israel. So we do have experts in the nonprofit world, and they are very, I would say, international staff. Why students actually should come to the Hebrew University? So as Naama mentioned in the beginning, the Hebrew University is one of the leading universities in Israel and also around the world. It's considered one of the top universities. And Israel is a country with a booming nonprofit sector that makes up nearly 1/10 of the country's economic activity. And Jerusalem itself, the home of the Hebrew University, is a home to hundreds of nonprofit organizations that serve Jews, Muslims, and Christians. Our program, in fact, provides, as I mentioned at the beginning, it's a very practice-oriented program, and it provides career opportunities to work in diverse organizations in the educational field, healthcare, social services, religion, coexistence, and much more. And in fact, our graduates serve in diverse leading roles, as you will hear later from two of our graduates. They could be founders of nonprofit organizations, development directors, project managements, and consultants. And they can work in diverse organizations in the United States, in the YMCA, and the Jewish Federation, in the Christian embassies, and much more. So in summary, this is a one-year program which students really complete the program within 3 semesters. And it's a practice-oriented program which provides a wide range of career opportunities. Nama?
Thank you, Professor Shaw. And now I would like to invite 2 of our alumni who are joining us from abroad, Malka and Nathan. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Nama, and thank you for having us here. It's an absolute pleasure to be speaking with you all. I'm originally from Canada. I've lived in New York and then for a brief time in Israel.
מלכה, one sec, מלכה, it's Mimi. פרופסור שור, אתה יכול להוריד בבקשה את ה...
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm so...
תודה רבה.
Thanks.
Sorry.
No, not at all. I chose to come to Israel essentially because of Hebrew U. It was something that I wanted to explore. I wanted to further my education. I wanted a different aspect of what I was doing professionally, and I wanted to learn from the best. So I think Hebrew U was honestly one of the best decisions I could have made, not only because of the education, but I also met my now husband in class. I think we met, week 2 of the program, semester 1. And I'll let him tell you guys where we are now, but academically, I think it was the most inspiring and fulfilling experience. I've never had professors that really listened to you and wanted you to expand your idea sets and really think about what you were saying and discuss with your classmates and push you a little bit harder in your writing and your research. And it was just a phenomenal experience all around. I currently work in healthcare, and I know this is going to sound really funny, but I do work in a not-for-profit aspect of a pharmaceutical firm. And the things that I learned in terms of finance, leadership, management really do come through in my day-to-day work. So if you are in a field where you're not so sure nonprofit can come through, I guarantee you're going to find aspects of the program that are going to help you expand those skill sets, expand your thinking, expand the way you think about sort of everyday life with the professors that are in this program.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Nathan Greenberg. I'm originally from Mexico City. I am currently the executive director of the Zionist Federation in Mexico. So I used to be living and working in Ghana with Sochnut Yehudit, with the Jewish agency, working for different projects in education, Tikkun Olam in Winneba. And I have a contract, like a 1-year contract, and by month 6 or 7, I said, okay, what I'm gonna do after. And I always wanted to do like a second degree, a master's degree or something. So I started checking things that they were related with the things that I was doing and enjoying. So I found the program at the Hebrew U, and it makes sense for me. I decided just to move to Israel. I made Aliyah. And after 6 months, I started studying in the Hebrew U. Nobody knew that Corona was coming. So basically in the middle of, after the first semester, like Corona hit it and we couldn't come back to school. I was working for an Israeli company. I was in Mexico and I lost my job then. They closed, and I started working with a nonprofit called Cadena in Mexico City. And I was doing a few things for COVID. And at the end, so before studying at the Hebrew U, one of the questions that I did is like, what if I don't want to work in nonprofit after the master's degree? And the reality is that this program gives different tools. So if you don't want to work in nonprofit, you have different opportunities in different areas. It will give you also very good tools. So for 2 years, I didn't work in nonprofit. I was working as a production manager in a factory in Chicago. And then they hired me here in Mexico. But the point is that the career, the master's degree give you different and various opportunities and tools to work or in nonprofit or in for-profit. And as Ron was saying right now that I'm in charge of the organization, it's a very small organization that I'm working for. I'm literally in charge of volunteers. I'm in charge of the professionals. I need to work very close with the board, because one thing that I realized, at least in Mexico, nonprofits are not very organized, so they don't really understand the difference between what's the work or what the board needs to do and what the professional needs to do and how to fundraise, and they really don't know. It's just many of these guys are people that they really believe in the cause, they have the time, so they want to do something nice for it, but they don't really know how to do it. So that's one of the reasons that they were looking for somebody with the experience and the knowledge so they can help them to put the organization in order. Apart from that, living in Israel and especially Jerusalem, it's a very special city. It's I don't know, it's very crazy.
It's magical.
Yeah. And as Malka said, apart from the studies and everything, I have a wife now. My parents are very happy. So I don't know if you have questions that you would like to make to us that or Ron or people at the Hebrew they can't answer, or you really want to understand, like, how is it from the student's perspective, like, feel free to reach out.
Yeah.
Or you can write in the chat as well.
We're happy
For
to
us?
answer any questions.
No.
Yeah.
I have a question to you guys. Besides
Yeah.
for meeting each other, did you make other friends? Did you meet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So again, the thing with our specific cohort, it's that we basically split at the middle, because it was Corona and then everything was virtual. But we're still in touch with, not with everyone, because it never happens, but we have friends from Hebrew, definitely.
In fact, another set of friends that we had from our cohort are actually getting married in September. We were invited to the wedding. So not to say that you're going to meet your Bashir, but there is a chance that there might be someone that you meet, whether it's a good friend, a partner, whatnot. But the people that we met in school were just phenomenal people. They were incredibly inspiring. It made me want to extend my horizons and do more and meet more like-minded people. And it was just a really special experience. If you have the opportunity, we highly recommend it.
And another thing, especially now that I'm seeing where you're from, where you're all coming from, my bachelor's degree, I did it in Mexico. We were from Mexico City. Like, there was basically zero diversity. And the classes at the Hebrew, especially at the Rothberg, it's super diverse. So it's very rich to meet people from all over the place, different cultures with different backgrounds. I mean, it's amazing. That's amazing.
So you're happy you did it in Jerusalem?
Very,
Yes.
very, very happy. After classes, some of us would grab tacos at Taco Luis, just a few blocks away from school. We'd hang out, we'd grab dinner, we'd chat about what we learned in class that day. So it wasn't just that you're going into a classroom to learn. Some of the classes that we took us on field trips outside of the class. We got to see Israel. We got to meet people who hadn't necessarily been to Israel before. They didn't know the country, and we got to go on little field trips on the weekends after class. So it wasn't just, you're going to school. You're going to school in Israel where there's so many different cultures that are meeting. There's food, there's art, there's language. So there's so much more than just within the Rothberg walls that you get to experience. So no, it was an opportunity of a lifetime.
And I would like to add another point that I don't know how it was when you did your BA or whatever you studied, but I didn't make any relationships with professors. Like, they couldn't care less. Like, they were there to give their lesson, to give their class, to finish their hours and leave. And I saw a difference with all the professors at the Hebrew, especially. I don't know if it's because it's non-profit that they're interested or what, but I managed to
They
build
really care.
relationships with several of them. And actually, when I came back to Israel after like a year or so, I literally went for dinner with one of them and things like that. And they helped me with my resume and connections to find like a new position. And it was really cool.
Where did you guys live during the program?
I lived on campus on Har HaTzofim, and
I was working. So that's another thing that I decided to study the Hebrew. I needed time to work. I couldn't afford like being in Israel without working. So I was working in Tel Aviv and I was studying in Jerusalem and I was living in Ramat Gan.
Oh,
So yeah,
you were staying with me and I didn't know that. Wonderful.
yeah.
on campus, it was a really special experience. Just getting my keys the first day, I met people that I'm still friends with that ended up doing different programs at Hebrew U that I got to meet just by, being there. And we'd walk to class together, we'd go to the gym together, we'd grab dinner. So you don't necessarily just meet people from your program, you do get to meet people that are there for various reasons. And again, just multicultural and different backgrounds that you get to engage with. And it's just not something that I think you'll get the experience to do anywhere else.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you very, very much. I think you guys were too clear. I only have questions, no one else does. Maybe the problem's with me. I'm joking.
Not for us.
Well, thank you, Malka and Nathan. And now to our admission coordinator, Amy Sarusi. Please, Amy.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so I'm going to quickly run through the admissions process, and then we're going to have a short Q&A session, which is not just going to be for me about admissions. You guys are welcome to address questions to Professor Shor, to Malka, to Nathan, and I'll sort of help direct them. So I think the best way to do that is to write your questions in the chat. Okay, you can ask about anything. Again, you can ask about admissions, you can ask about career, about the courses, and then when I finish running through the slideshow, then we'll go back and we'll read through the questions. So hold on one second. Okay, so some practical things. How much does the program cost? So the tuition for students who are coming from abroad is $11,400. Okay, for Israeli citizens, there's a different price. It's 30,000 shekel, 30,124 shekel. Okay, scholarships are available. We still have funding. You're welcome to be in touch with me. I'll post my email address in the chat afterwards, and you guys are welcome to send me an email. So that's about the financial aspect. The application link we have up here, okay? You're welcome to copy it. We can also post it. There's a simple application form to fill out. What to expect when you apply. So basically you log into the application portal. You're going to be asked to open a free username and password if you've never applied before. If you have applied before, you can log in with your old email address and your personal code, or with your old student number if you have one. Okay, when you're filling out the application form, you're going to be asked for a number of documents. So some of the documents you can upload immediately: your CV, your statement of purpose, and a photocopy of your passport or your Israeli ID card. Okay, and then with that, you continue through the application process. We're also going to ask you to type in the names and email addresses of 2 recommenders. Okay, and at the very end, you skip to the end, you click submit. Within about 24 hours or so, I receive your application, and then I'm in touch with you via email in order to continue. We have a few more documents that we're going to need: transcripts, there's a medical form. Okay, so I'll be in touch with you about that. The application deadline is August 31st, so we don't have that much more time. Students who for some reason are thinking they may not be able to apply in time, you're welcome to be in touch with me and we'll see what we can do. And what are the admissions requirements? So in general, we require all students who are applying to master's programs, you need to have an internationally accredited bachelor's degree. Okay, if you have a bachelor's degree but you're not sure that it's accredited, you're welcome again to send me an email and I will check. We require a minimum of 3.2 or B average or the equivalent. If you're from a country which doesn't use either the 4.0 scale or the letter scale, it's roughly 82 out of 100, but that's for certain countries. For example, in the UK, it's a little bit different. We require a 70 or above. In France, it's out of 20. So if you're not sure, email me and I will let you know what GPA you need. Okay, and we're going to ask for transcripts and diplomas from all of your prior degrees. In addition to your academic records, we're going to ask for your CV, a statement of purpose, which is roughly 1 to 2 pages, in which we ask you to introduce yourself, to talk about your academic background, your professional background, any volunteer background that you have, and why you're interested in our program. Okay, and to recommend academic recommendations, again, we said we're going to be in touch with your recommenders directly by email. Okay, the last thing that's really important is you need to demonstrate proof of English proficiency. So if you studied in an English-speaking country or in a university in which the sole language of instruction was English, then there may be room for exemption. Okay, again, that's on a case-by-case basis, and you can send me an email, or we need to see a TOEFL score of 80 or above, or an IELTS score of 6 or above. Students who are in Israel, I saw there are a few of you who are local. We also accept the Amir or the Amiram exams, okay, with a score of 120 or above. Okay, so that's in terms of the admissions requirements. It's not listed here, but also we need a CV, a copy of your passport or Israeli identity card. I mentioned that before, and a medical form and a disclaimer form. Okay, so that is in terms of admissions. Just a little bit about life, about campus. So Malka and Nathan spoke about this before, but we also have graduate community coordinators who are basically Israeli students who I think Noah introduced herself before. She's also Israeli. So we have on staff a lot of Israeli students who are here to sort of build a community of our international students to help integrate them into life in Israel so that they can meet locals, they can practice their Hebrew, their Arabic, and also to take trips, attend lectures. We organize Shabbat and holiday meals, and again, activities with Israeli students. So on-campus housing is available. It's available on a space available basis, which means it's limited, but we still do have some housing available. And that's pretty much it for student life. We're gonna move, I'm gonna stop my screen share. We're gonna move on to questions and answers. And you guys are welcome to start posting in the chat. Let's see. Okay, so I see that there are already some. So I'm gonna read the questions aloud. I'm gonna scroll up from the beginning, and then I'll answer it if it's addressed to me, or I'll pass it on. Okay. Okay, so I see that Nathan started. You posted your email address, great. Okay, what are the so Sabrina is asking, what are the scholarship requirements and how much is the scholarship? Okay, so I'm gonna start, I'm gonna right now post my email on the chat. We have different scholarships. We have scholarships we have an office in New York. Actually, Mariah is here from our New York office. So US students should be in touch with our New York office. They have merit-based and need-based financial aid. We have financial aid for Canadian students, for Ukrainian students, for Scandinavian students. It really depends on where you're from. So the best thing to do is to send me an email, and I will direct you to what's most relevant to where you're from. So hold on.
Also, Amy, I did earlier put in links for American scholarships and also for students from other countries as well for graduate programs. So if you guys want to scroll up a little bit, I have both of those links in the chat for you to look at.
Okay, excellent, perfect. If anyone can't find it, let us know. We can post it, repost it. In terms of the amount, so it depends on where you're from. It depends on if it's need-based, if it's merit-based. Most of the scholarships are partial, so we're talking, I mean, actually it depends. We do have some scholarships which do cover most of tuition, but it's best to be in touch with us because we'll be able to give you more specific information. Okay, I think Malka and Nathan, this is for you. Daniel is asking, what is it like to study in English and then work in Hebrew? Is it possible? Nathan, I think you mentioned that you were working in Israel.
I mean, The reality is that in Israel, I mostly worked in English because I was working in startups and in Spanish. So I was working with the Mexican healthcare system. But it's like, I mean, there's no issue. I mean, if you speak Hebrew, then it's going to be easy for you. If you don't speak Hebrew, then start doing the Ulpan. I mean, it's the same thing. Just that you're going to change the language, but it's basically the same thing. Maybe what happens to me sometimes is that there are specific terms that I know them in English or I know them in Spanish that I don't know how to say it in Hebrew, and then I just explain them, and then I say, it's this one. Like, yes, and that's it. Like, all good.
Just to chime in here, Hebrew U also does offer Ulpan classes. So if you're looking to expand your Hebrew knowledge, I was doing Hebrew classes while I was in this program. So it's definitely feasible.
So for next year, it's good that you're bringing it up. So for next year, and Anna, correct me if I'm wrong, it's actually not possible to study Hebrew, unfortunately, during the autumn and spring semesters because it conflicts, but
you can. There is a practical course, which probably even better than just study Hebrew as a language. There's practical Hebrew twice a week. It's actually before your classes. It's completely completely combined with your general program because it's usually confined to 2 days a week during autumn and spring semester. And you also have the practical Hebrew classes in morning. And it's also suitable for people who can work and willing to work during their studies. But they should keep in mind that summer semester is condensed courses. So you study like morning, evening, every day. So that's something you should keep in mind for a month.
Okay. So I'm moving on. I'm a master's student from Poland. Is there any scholarship for internship or short course during my study? Okay, so we don't have an internship, a formal internship component of this program. There is a project workshop in which we match students up with local nonprofit organizations. Malka and Nathan, you guys can tell us more about it if students want more details, but we do have an internship coordinator who sits at the Rothberg International School. She does offer her services to our students, but it's actually for an additional fee. So we don't have the option to match you up with an internship that you get paid to do. You also have to keep in mind, if you're in Israel on a student visa, you're kind of limited in the way that you can work. You can work in an unlimited way with your home country, and that's what most of our students do. Most of our students are actually working remotely in all different kinds of jobs, and I can go more into detail. And we actually also put together a brochure to sort of give students an idea of what kind of jobs our students worked at while they were here, because we know that that's a big issue for students. But in certain circumstances, you could do an internship and get a stipend for an internship, even if you're here in a student visa, but that would be something that you would have to find. Okay. I'm reading aloud another question. What is the practical difference between this master's program and a master's in business? Professor Shor, do you want to answer that?
Yes. Our program, as I indicated, aims to train professionals to work in nonprofit organizations. The focus of a master's in business is not necessarily on nonprofit organizations. And this is a major difference between the two degrees. Okay.
Okay, so we have another question. How much scholarship can international students from India get for this course? So from India, we have a number of scholarships that you could apply for. One of them is the Rothberg Family Fund. It's a partial need-based scholarship. It depends. You can be in touch with me by email. Usually students can get up to about $4,000 from this specific scholarship. Again, it varies from student to student and from year to year. I definitely encourage you to email me. Okay, Tatiana, so you're asking how many classes do we have per day? I'll hand that over to Professor Shor in a minute. And once the application is submitted, how long does it take to receive a response? Tatiana, I know you sent me an email. I have to get back to you. So you will hopefully hear from me either this evening or tomorrow. But usually once you submit your application, it takes about 24 hours plus minus, depending if it's a weekend, to hear back. And then we sort of start a back and forth until I get all of the application documents from you. Once all of the application documents are in, then I send your file to the admission committee for review. And it usually takes about a week to hear back from us, and you hear back from us by email. Professor Short, do you want to talk about how many courses per day?
Yeah. The program is actually, the studies are twice a week, on Mondays and on Wednesdays, from around noontime or 1 p.m. until the evening hours. So we have about 4 courses each day. Now I will already respond to another question, which I see in the chat, in terms of the flexibility of the program. We have 32 out of the 38 credits are required courses. Students, however, have flexibility in terms of the studies of elective courses. They can choose or study 3 courses as elective courses, and at least one of them can be a course outside of the program. So this is already, this is the answer regarding the flexibility of the program. It's a twice a week program from noon until the evening, and 32 out of the 38 credits are required courses.
Thank you. Okay, we have another question for the alumni. Pamela is asking, how did you manage your time working and studying in different cities?
Okay, so I'm not sure if you know, but in Israel, the work week starts on Sundays and it finishes on Thursday. So let's say that the weekend it's Friday and Saturday. I was working from Sunday, and then my only free day was Saturdays. And listen, I needed to buy a car. Well, I didn't need it to, but it was I was saving a lot of time by going back and forth twice a week to Jerusalem. It's tight, but I manage it, and I even have time to go out with Malka. I mean, you need to organize your tasks and decide what you want to do and when you want to have personal time and stuff, because there's a lot of materials that you're going to get from school apart from the classes. Then you're going to get readings, and you're going to get homework, and then you're going to get the projects. But it's doable. Many people, I mean, usually in Israel, people that they're studying, Israelis, they work. I mean, that's what it's normal to do. So you're gonna do it. I mean, again, the thing about working in Israel, it's that you need to find a place that they will allow you to miss 2 days or to have a shift or something. But it's doable. Yeah.
Malka, I understand from you didn't work while you were studying.
I didn't work, no, but I was volunteering with JDC, also known as The Joint. I was with them a couple of days a week. And it wasn't very close to campus, but essentially you work with your manager that you're volunteering with or working with, letting them know that you're working, and you do need a little bit of flexibility in terms of travel time, organizing your schedule, etc. And everyone that I corresponded with, worked with, were just very open and understanding of the situation. A lot of them had graduated from Hebrew U, so knew the time commitments, and no, it was just a very positive experience. So if you're able to volunteer or work while in school, I think it's beneficial. You can start expanding your skill sets and seeing how they play out in the real world.
So before I go on, just because one question that we get a lot from students is a lot of students are ask us usually for 2 days a week of learning, because their class is 2 days a week, roughly how much time can they expect to be working on schoolwork, not in class time? And that also affects people's decisions if they want to work or if they should work.
I think it depends on what kind of student you want to be. I think that the materials that are given to you outside of class are incredibly engaging. The readings are not super heavy. They're more like case studies. They're applicable. So it really depends on if you want to spend more time reading and doing your writing, or really how you want to engage with that material. But I do think that the material they give you is exciting. So if you're into the topic, it doesn't feel like work. And the writing that they ask you to do is, I found it fun. And I don't think I was an exceptional student by any means coming into this program, but I was excited to do the assignments. I was excited to do the research, the projects that Amy spoke about. I don't know. I had a really great time in class, which I never thought I was ever going to be able to say. So.
Thank you.
Amy, I would like to clarify, looking at several of the questions. The program is being taught in English. All the courses are in English. And in terms of the length of the program, it is a one-year program. Students can start the program in October and finish it by the end of August of the next year. So in fact, within 10 months, it is possible to finish or complete the studies. Among the questions, one of the questions relates to whether there is flexibility in terms of constructing the program. So we do recommend to take advantage of the one-year program and the structure of completing the program within 1 year. But if students encounter difficulties completing it within 1 year, we do offer the flexibility upon permission to split the program into 2 years.
Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you for bringing those questions up. I'm skipping around a little bit. Also, the last question that we have right now is from Anna. So you're asking how long does it take to finish the program, and you want more information about how it's split up. So our autumn semester runs from October until January. Our spring semester runs from March until June. During the autumn and spring semesters, classes are 2 days a week, usually on Mondays and Wednesdays. That's what it's supposed to be for next year. After that, we have a very short summer semester, which is usually between the end of July and mid-August. It's 4 weeks of marathon courses. So each course is 1 week from Monday to Thursday. And the classes are about from the morning roughly until like the late afternoon until about 3-4 p.m. If you have any more questions about the structure, then you can post another question in the chat. Like, I hope that cleared it up. Okay, so Sabrina is asking, what is the assessment method? Exams or papers, basically? Professor Shor, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, mostly those are papers. Actually, I think that in all the in almost all the classes, the method is papers. Yeah, in 90 or 95% of the courses. Yeah.
Okay, there's another question for you, but I'll just finish with Sabrina. Sabrina, you're asking, what is the ranking of the university worldwide? I think according to the Shanghai ranking this year, we were 80 something, Mimi? Am I right?
Yes,
Yes.
correct.
Okay. Okay, so, Professor Shor, this is for you also. The student is asking, hold on, I just missed the class. I just missed the question. How can we distribute courses for 2 years in order to finish? I think Professor Shor, I'll let you answer in a second. One thing that's really important to point out is that students need to keep in mind that if they choose, let's say, to only study on Mondays during the first year, they should not assume that the second year they're only going to study on Wednesdays, because we mix up the courses every year based on the teacher availability and when the instructors can teach. So not to assume that just because you're studying 1 day this year means that you're only going to study 1 day next year, or because you're studying in the morning this year, it will be in the afternoon next year. That's something to keep in mind.
However, it's possible to construct the program and divide the process between the two years. I'm the academic advisor. I'm working with each student to construct a program which will fit him and meet the requirements of the program.
Okay. So students are asking, is it possible to take the courses online or do some sort of a blended method? Right now, no, the course is only being offered in person on campus. If that ever is to change, then obviously we will post information on our website. But for now, we're fully back to in-person learning. Rowan is asking, after we finish up, is there anyone that can help us find a job? So maybe this is for the alumni, for Professor Shore. I'll just say that we don't offer formal career services, but there are a lot of different ways that students can find jobs through the program. One of the ways is through, and again, Professor Shore and the alumni will expand on this, but one of the ways is through our project workshop course where students actually get to work with a nonprofit organization. And we actually have a student, I think a year before or 2 years before Nathan and Malka, that she was actually hired by the organization that she worked with. It's called Pesia's Kitchen. It's a local NGO here in Jerusalem. And she was actually hired to be their director straight out of the program. So I think that a lot of the courses do offer students the option to just meet people. The other thing, again, and I'll pass it on to you for more information, but the other thing is that we run a Facebook group for alumni. And we've seen that that's been a really important platform because a lot of our alumni are now in positions at organizations that they're actually looking to hire. And that's a place that they post a lot. Professor Shore, Nathan, Malka, do you want to, Nathan and Malka, from your perspective, do you want to talk about exposure that you had during the program that helped either you or your fellow students with networking and finding jobs? And Professor Shore, maybe do you want to also?
And again, I mentioned earlier that our staff members, the teaching staff, each of them is an expert in the area of nonprofits. And I think that participating in the classes, meeting them guest lecturers which attend the classes. Many of the assignments are geared towards the field. And all of these components enable to create a network which may help our graduates to find later on jobs.
There's another question in the chat. I'm sorry, I just want to, before we actually lost the chat question, are the attendance at lectures mandatory? Yes, the attendance is mandatory. Yes.
Do you want to, yeah.
Who wanted to ask a question?
No, again, when we were starting, we need to put a lot of emphasis that there was a lot of uncertainty due to COVID. But what I can say is that literally I spoke with I had one-on-one with most of the professors, and they couldn't hire me, right? But they were saying like, hey, you should talk with this one and this one and this one. And literally they helped me to network really, really, really hard in Israel. We ended up leaving Israel. Malka was working in the States, but I'm sure that if your idea is to stay in Israel or to work in the area, like in that area, probably you're going to be able to find something through the professors or their connections. That's definitely, but nobody can like guarantee you a job. And that's a fact.
I also think we had a WhatsApp group for the entire cohort, and we were communicating if we found something on LinkedIn or we spoke to someone or we had a contact somewhere, we were sharing information throughout our classmates. And I mean, I think it helped us know who to talk to, who to connect with, where to look. So there was open communication within our class and then others that we were getting in touch with. So I definitely think,
Fantastic.
yeah, there were definitely people that were hired out of their internships or projects that they did. I can think of a handful of classmates from our cohort that ended up staying in Israel and working for the internships that they had volunteered for as full-time employees. So definitely use whatever contact that you can get during the program, after the program, and share information. I think that's just really important.
Thank you. Okay, great. Okay, I think we got to the end of the questions. Okay, this is an important question. How can we apply for the student visa and how much does it cost? Okay, so once a student is accepted, you want to contact the local Israeli consulate, wherever you are, the closest one to you. And you want to make an appointment to set up a student visa appointment. They're going to ask you, like, the most important document that you need to bring is going to be your acceptance letter. But you should also ask them what else they want, depending. Different consulates sometimes ask for different documents. Some want to see a housing contract or a dormitory reservation. Some of them want to make sure that you have enough money to support yourself while you're here. So it's important to find out what they want from you. Students who are coming accompanied by spouses or children sometimes need a letter from our office inviting their family members, which is fine. They can be in touch with us. To pay, how much does it cost? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know how much it costs for a student visa. Does anybody here know?
I will try and get the answer in 3 minutes. I'll try.
Excellent.
I think it may also depend on the country and the consulate as well. I think there might be some variation depending on the country.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay, how much is the living cost per month? It's a good question. We're working on putting together information on that so that it will be really clear for students. I'm gonna repost my email address. I suggest you be in touch with me directly, and I'll give you, and anybody who wants information about that. We actually were recently in touch with one of our students, and she was helping us get a more updated sense. We had some information, but we think that it's important to really stay updated about this. So you're definitely invited to email me about that. Okay, so Sabrina is asking how long is each term? So again, the autumn semester runs from October 23rd until the end of January. You have a 2-month break where you're probably going to be writing papers for most of it. And then school starts up again from March until the end of June. David is asking, does it help to make Aliyah? Are there any benefits to making Aliyah when coming to study? Yes, but not necessarily. The students who make Aliyah is a term for anyone who immigrates to Israel while they're here studying under the law of return, the Israeli law of return. So yes, there are benefits. One of the benefits is that if you are under 30 and don't already have a master's degree and haven't done your bachelor's degree in Israel, then you should be eligible to have almost all of your degree funded by the Israeli Ministry of Absorption. That said, not everyone is eligible. Again, not everyone is under 30, or some students. We had a student this year who was under 30, but he already had a master's degree from abroad. So if you're eligible to make Aliyah, but you choose not to, you may also be eligible for a Masa scholarship. Okay, you can either email me or Google it. Depending on where you're coming from, some of the Masa scholarships are quite large. Okay, so we know right now students from Eastern Europe, sometimes from South America, they're quite large. So in some cases, it actually pays more not to make Aliyah if you're eligible for one of these big Masa scholarships. If you're debating, you can be in touch with me. One of the other advantages, again, and Malka, anything, you can correct me if you have something to add if you made Aliyah at this time, like while you were studying. But one of the other things to consider is health insurance. If you make Aliyah, then you don't need to pay for health insurance. That said, it's roughly like $1,500 if you're not an Israeli citizen. So depending on if that is a significant amount for you or not. Do you guys have anything that you want to add to that in terms of Aliyah?
Yes, Sal Klita, the first 6 months. I mean, there are several things that are not related to the university. Again, I did Aliyah, Malka did Aliyah. We're not looking Israeli. Feel free to reach out and we can let you know like all the drill and how it works. Yeah, it's pros and cons, like everything. I mean, yeah.
We have another few questions, which I think should be addressed about the English test. I see that we have a few questions already. Yes, there is a requirement. Part of the requirements in order to be accepted to the program is to submit, you have the English proficiency on a certain level. So it can be a TOEFL or an IELTS, or if you live in Israel, it can be an Amiram test, which is the computer version of Amir test offered by the Israeli Center for testing. And yes, it's one of the basic requirements. You must reach a certain level in order to be able to study in the program.
Rowan, I would add.
I'm sorry, I'm just continuing. And Sabrina asks if she did her degree in English. That depends. If you did your degree in English language and literature, or you did it at the university in which the language of instruction was English, based on the documents you submit, we can consider to exempt you from English from the entrance exam. So we just need to see the documents, and it's going to be decided based on that whether it can exempt you or not. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead. I would just add that Rowan is asking, without Amiram or TOEFL, I cannot register. So first of all, also IELTS, but because we know that it's getting late and the admissions deadline is coming up soon, we do have a solution. The student can take, there's a Duolingo, it's a website, it's an app, you can Google Duolingo. If you take the online Duolingo exam, you do need to pay for it, but it's not very expensive. If you can show us that you have a score above a certain level, I cannot remember, I think it's 108, I'm not sure, but I can check it. If you score above a certain number on the Duolingo exam, we can accept you conditionally. Okay, that means that you can enroll in the program, you can come to Israel, you can start the program, but you need to take the TOEFL or the IELTS exam. Either present the score to us by the time you start in October, or in some cases, we can even wait until the end of the first semester to get the exam. It's really important though, without resolving the condition on your acceptance, you can't actually graduate. So you will need to take the TOEFL or the IELTS exam by the end of the autumn semester.
I have an answer regarding the visas. I love this team. It's 180 shekels if you want a one-time into Israel without going in and out, or 360, double the price if you want multiple entrances.
Meaning you should translate it to dollars.
It's
Oh,
like
okay.
50 and 100.
It's
something like that.
$50.
It's around $50 for a one-timer and $100 for a multiple entrance. We'll write it down in the chat.
Yeah, write it down in the chat. We strongly recommend students to take multiple entry student visas. You never know what's going to come up. And if you need to leave during the program, even like, you know, none of these problems should ever happen, but sometimes family emergencies come up and things like that back home, and then a student unexpectedly needs to go home and then come back. It's problematic if you don't have a multiple entry student visa. Sabrina's asking, where should she email her questions to? You can email them to me. I'm posting my email address again.
We will send you tomorrow all the questions and answers in the chat and a recording of today, and you can pass it on to your friends, or you can go over and watch the amazing information you got today from everyone here. Is so dedicated and devoted. And Natan and Malka, what an amazing job. Professor Ron, Amy, Naama, Anna, Gal, Noah, Mariah, Adi, and Mimi. We want to sign off from Jerusalem and say thank you very, very much. Guys, succeed in whatever you do. All universities are good. The Hebrew University is the best. Have a great evening.